Let me start with something you probably weren't expecting. Not with beautiful stories about artists, antique mirrors, and portraits in gilded frames. I want to start somewhere completely different, with something that's happened to every single one of you at least once. Think back to the moment you first heard your own voice in a recording. Not in real life, but in a recording. On a voice memo, in a voice message, in some video from a family party. And almost certainly you caught yourself thinking, do I really sound like that? A lot of people actually flinch at that moment. The voice sounds like a stranger's. Too high, too quiet, somehow not what it sounds like inside your head. And the reason is simple. From the inside, we hear ourselves completely differently from how other people hear us. Sound reaches us through our bones, through our skull, and produces one voice. Warm, familiar, our own. But what comes out, what everyone else hears, is something else entirely. It's only in a recording that we finally hear the voice the whole world hears, and we usually don't like it. Now hold on, because here comes the most important part. Exactly the same thing, in every detail, happens with our appearance. From the inside, we see ourselves differently from how the world sees us. We look in the mirror, and we're sure we're seeing the truth. There it is, the reflection. It doesn't lie. Glass can't lie. But that's exactly where the main mistake is hiding. Because the face the mirror shows you in the morning and the face the people around you see every day, those are two different faces. And they differ far more than you might imagine. And here's where I'm going with this. We almost always judge ourselves more harshly, more critically, and more unkindly than the people around us do. We notice things about ourselves that others simply don't see. We get upset over details that, for everyone else, just don't exist. And the older we get, the wider the gap grows between those two images, the one in our heads and the one other people see. Do you know why that gap is especially wide after 50? Not because something's wrong with us, but because by that age we've spent decades practicing self-criticism. We did it at 20, at 30, at 40, every morning, at every mirror, and that habit didn't go away. It only got stronger. We've gotten so fast and so precise at finding flaws in our own reflection that we do it automatically now, without even noticing. Our eyes go straight to what we don't like. But the people around us, they can't do that. They look at us in a completely different way. And honestly, what they see is a much more pleasant picture. And I want to be upfront about something right away so there's no misunderstanding between us. This video isn't about making you feel better. I'm not going to hand you the usual compliments along the lines of, "You're beautiful at any age," or "Love yourself as you are." You've heard that 100 times without me. And honestly, it doesn't really help most people. I want to talk about something else. About how our perception actually works. How the eye works, how light works, how distance and habit work. This isn't philosophy or motivation. It's closer to physics, with a little straightforward psychology. And by the end of our conversation, you'll genuinely understand why what you see in the mirror in the morning is not the same face your loved ones, your friends, and your colleagues see every day. Not similar, not roughly the same, literally different. So why does any of this matter? Because far more depends on it than it might seem. Think about it. When we see ourselves as worse than we actually are, we start making decisions based on that distorted image. We reach for darker, simpler clothes so we won't draw attention. We pass on bright colors because I'm too old for that. We cover our neck, cover our hands, button everything up to the top. We take off our earrings because what's the point? Who's going to notice? And sometimes we set the mood for the entire day, right there at the mirror, in under a minute. We take one look, and that's it. The day is already ruined, and we walk out the door already hunched over. And that's what I find most heartbreaking, because all of this is a reaction not to reality, but to an illusion, to an image that's simply been put together wrong. And my goal today is to help you stop doing that. Stop choosing your clothes, your makeup, and even your own mood based on a reflection that's been misleading you. I want you to finally see yourself honestly, the way other people see you. But before we go any further, I want to ask you one question. Be honest with yourself. Has this ever happened to you? You're walking down the street, lost in your thoughts, and suddenly you catch a glimpse of your own reflection in a shop window? Or you pick up your phone, the screen is still dark, still off, and for just a second your face flickers in it. In that very first second, before you've realized it's you, what do you feel? Women tell me the same thing all the time. For just a moment, I didn't recognize myself. And you know what? That woman, the stranger, I liked her more than the one I'm used to seeing in the mirror. If that's ever happened to you, hold on to that feeling. We're going to need it today. Because that woman you caught a glimpse of in the shop window, that's the real you. The one everyone sees except yourself. And at the very end, I promise, I'll give you one simple technique. Completely simple, takes just a couple of minutes, but it does something no mirror in the world can do. It shows you what you actually look like. For a lot of women, it genuinely changed the way they felt about themselves. So stay with me to the end. It really does matter. Now let's get into why the mirror keeps misleading us so stubbornly. There are 5 reasons, and at least 3 of them are going to genuinely surprise you. Reason 1, distance. This one is probably the simplest and also the most underestimated. Think about how you usually look at yourself in the mirror. You walk right up to it. You lean in close, especially when you're examining your face, applying moisturizer, adjusting something near your eyes. Your face is maybe 20 to 30 centimeters from the glass. Now tell me honestly, does a single person in real life ever look at you from that distance? No. Maybe a very close person in very rare moments. But everyone else, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, the cashier at the store, strangers on the street, they all see you from a meter away, and more often from a meter and a half, 2 meters, 3 meters, or more. And here's where it gets interesting. From 20 centimeters, you see every pore on your skin, every fine line around your eyes, every tiny imperfection you can only make out by pressing your nose against the glass. You're seeing yourself in a way that absolutely no one else ever sees you. Now step back. Just take 2 steps away from the mirror and look. All those little things you were just upset about, they dissolve. They're gone. What's left is the overall impression, your features, your expression, your eyes, your smile, exactly what other people see. Actually, let's check this right now. Pause the video, walk up to your mirror and look at yourself up close. Then step back 2 or 3 paces and look again. The difference will surprise you. You'll see 2 different women, and the one standing farther away, she's the real one. Reason 2, light. This is a bigger topic because light changes almost everything. Where do we usually study ourselves most carefully? At home, in the bathroom, at the mirror? And what's the lighting like in there? Most of the time it's an artificial bulb, and it usually hangs overhead, sometimes off to the side. And that kind of overhead artificial light is simply merciless to the human face. It falls from above, sinking the eyes into shadow, casting sharp shadows under the nose and the cheekbones, highlighting absolutely everything we'd rather not notice. It makes the face look tired, harsh, older. So you stand there under that bulb and conclude, well, that's it. That's what I look like. But it's not true. That's only what you look like under that specific bulb in that specific bathroom. Now, let's move to a window, an ordinary window in the daytime. Soft daylight behaves in a completely different way. It's diffused. It wraps around your face from all sides. It doesn't strike from above. It almost seems to embrace you. And it works wonders. It evens out the skin, softens your features, melts away harsh shadows, and lights up your eyes. The same face under a bathroom bulb and by a window in the daytime. Those are two completely different faces. And you know what's fascinating? That's the very principle that good photographers and makeup artists build their entire work around. The real secret isn't about changing your face. It's about finding the right light for it. They don't transform the person. They simply place them where the light is kind to them. So remember this one simple rule. If you want to see yourself honestly, go to the window. Try it today. Look at yourself under your regular lamp, then step over to a window in daylight. I promise you'll like what you see quite a bit more. And now, the third reason. This one, in my view, is the most important thing I'll tell you today. The frozen face. Here's what happens when we step up to a mirror. We instinctively go still. We focus, we scrutinize ourselves, and in that moment the face freezes, goes rigid. The muscles tighten, the gaze turns tense and appraising. We look at ourselves like a strict examiner. And that motionless, frozen, tense face is the one we take to be our true face. Now, listen closely. A living face in motion is almost always more beautiful than a still one. Always. When you're talking, laughing, surprised, listening to someone with genuine interest, your face is alive. It glows, it plays, it's warm. That's exactly how other people see you. Alive, expressive, real. Nobody but you ever sees that frozen mask in the mirror. And since we're on the subject, there's one more important thing I want to tell you. A photograph deceives us even more than a mirror does. How? Think about it. Over the course of a single day, your face makes thousands of different expressions. Thousands. And a photograph captures just one random hundredth of a second. A single frozen frame from that endless living stream. And if that frame happened to catch you at an awkward moment, mid-blink, mid-word, turning away, a woman looks at that photo and thinks in horror, "My God, is that really what I always look like?" But it isn't always. You look that way for 1/100th of a second. The rest of the time, you were alive and completely different. Here's my absolute favorite way to check this. Ask someone to take a short video on their phone of you just talking, telling a story, laughing. Not posing, actually living in the frame. Then watch it back. You know what's remarkable? Almost every woman who can't stand her photos likes herself considerably more on video. Because on video, she's alive. You have to try this. It's genuinely eye-opening. Let's move on. The fourth reason? Habituation. It's a subtle thing, but it matters a great deal. You see your face every morning, every single day, year after year. And what happens? You start noticing every tiny new detail. You're essentially keeping a daily ledger, comparing today's face to yesterday's to the day before. That spot seemed smoother yesterday. That one looks like it just showed up today. You're examining yourself under a microscope day after day. But the people around you? They don't do that. They see you as a whole, as one complete image, and they're keeping no tally whatsoever. Here's a simple example. You get some small blemish on your skin, a bit of redness, a spot, whatever it might be. You're convinced everyone's staring right at it. The truth is, nobody around you even noticed, because other people aren't studying you with a magnifying glass. They're not looking for it. And if you're not looking for something, you don't find it. And finally, the fifth reason. We're comparing ourselves to the wrong standard. This is a very insidious trap. Who do you mentally compare yourself to when you look in the mirror? Almost always, your former self. The young woman you were 20, 30 years ago. And in that comparison, of course, you'll always come up short. It's a fundamentally unfair game. But here's the thing. The people around you aren't playing that game. They've never seen you as that 20-year-old. They aren't comparing you to your past. They're comparing you to your peers, to other women your age who are right there around them. And in that real comparison, you almost certainly look far better than you give yourself credit for. So there are all 5 reasons: distance, light, the frozen face, habituation, and the wrong comparison. 5 reasons, and they all lead to one shared, simple conclusion. We see ourselves as worse than we actually are. Not as we are, but worse. And now that you understand the mechanism, let's work out what to do with all of this in everyday life. In this part, we're finally going to turn everything we've been talking about into genuine practice. Because understanding the mechanism is wonderful, but let's look at how this mirror distortion quietly and invisibly shapes our everyday decisions. And you'll almost certainly recognize yourself here. Let's start with clothes. Think about how you decide what to wear. Very often, there's one thought at the core of that decision: hide. A slightly longer sleeve to cover the arms, a higher neckline so no one sees the neck, something a size looser so nothing clings or draws attention, a darker, more understated color so as not to stand out. Something bright? No, bright isn't for me. Wearing something bright feels like putting up a sign. Jewelry? Earrings? A necklace? Something noticeable? What for? It's all unnecessary. And this is where I want you to stop for a moment and realize something. All of that is an attempt to hide what only you can see. Only you, up close, under that merciless lamp. You're hiding from people something they can't see anyway. Do you see how sad a story that is? We carefully camouflage a problem that doesn't exist, and, in doing so, conceal everything genuinely good about ourselves. Now let's be honest, from a normal distance, from that 1 to 2 meters at which real people actually look at you. What's actually happening there? A bright color at that distance doesn't shout or call attention. It refreshes your face. It reflects light onto your skin, adds brightness, makes you look younger and more alive. Dark and muted tones, on the other hand, often add fatigue and dull the face. And earrings? Earrings are a small miracle. They draw the other person's gaze upward, toward your eyes and your smile, toward what's most alive and most beautiful about you. Not toward whatever it is you might feel self-conscious about. That's the whole trick. We give up things that work in our favor because we're afraid of something that only exists in our distorted reflection. Now let me share 2 observations with you. I've been collecting these for years, and they never stop striking me in the best possible way. Observation 1. Women almost always look better when they're traveling or on vacation. Everyone notices it. They notice it themselves, and so does everyone around them. The usual explanation is simple. Of course, she rested, got enough sleep, unwound. The break, the fresh air, the sun, all true. But that's not the whole story. There's another reason, and it's far more significant. When you're away, that particular morning ritual disappears from your life. The long, close scrutiny of yourself in a large mirror under a bright lamp. At home, you conduct that critical inspection every single morning. When you're traveling, you take a quick glance in the little mirror in your bag, fix what needs fixing, and you're off. living, exploring, enjoying. And something remarkable happens. The face relaxes. It becomes softer, brighter, calmer, simply because it's stopped being judged every day. The weight of that constant evaluation has been lifted. That's the whole secret of vacation beauty. It's not just the sea, it's that you've stopped putting yourself under the magnifying glass. Observation 2, and this one is about modern life as we know it. Social media. We scroll through our feeds every day, and what we see is a steady stream of perfect faces. Smooth skin, flawless light, a flattering angle, and nearly all of it is edited, filtered, retouched. Here's the trouble. Without even noticing it, we unconsciously compare those polished, perfectly lit images of other people to our own reflection. Our own reflection, in ordinary light, early in the morning, with a bare face. Do you feel how unfair that comparison is? We're placing our everyday reality right next to someone else's carefully constructed image. And of course, we come up short. But not because we're lacking, it's because we're comparing things that can't be compared. So the next time you're scrolling through your feed and suddenly feel a little down about yourself, remember what I'm telling you right now. You're comparing a living, breathing person to a picture. Those aren't even in the same league. Now here's what I promised you. That one simple trick. And it really is simple, but it can do something no mirror ever could. Ask someone close to you, your husband, a friend, your daughter, anyone you trust, to photograph you without you knowing. Without you knowing, that's the key part. Not hold on, let me get a picture of you, not posing, not say cheese. Secretly, when you're just talking, setting the table, reading, going for a walk, caught up in something. When you're alive and real, not performing for a camera. Then, when the photo is ready, look at it. But look at it in a particular way. Try to look at that woman as if you're seeing her for the first time, like a stranger. Not scanning for flaws the way you usually do. This isn't right. That's not good. But taking her in as a whole. Just look at her the way you'd look at someone else. And ask yourself honestly, what is she like, this woman? Not what's wrong with her, but what kind of impression does she make? What's she actually like? And that's where a lot of people have a moment of revelation, because we don't judge a stranger nearly as harshly as we judge ourselves. And if you're feeling brave, take one more step. Show that photo to someone you trust, and just listen to what they say. Other people often see things in us that we completely miss in ourselves. They say the warmest things about us, things we'd never think to say about ourselves. And you know what I hear from women over and over again, almost word for word? The same thing, every time. For years I hid from cameras. I'd duck out of every shot, erase myself from every frame. Then one day someone snapped a photo of me by accident, mid-motion, while I was laughing at something. And that one accidental photo made peace between me and myself. You see? Not a posed shot, not a perfect angle. A candid, spontaneous moment was what brought them back to themselves. And here I want to be honest with you, from the heart. It took me time, too. I wasn't born knowing and understanding all of this. I had to learn to trust other people's words, and it didn't happen overnight. For years, I'd stand at that same mirror, under that same light, picking myself apart just as relentlessly. Only gradually, little by little, did I learn to look at myself differently, from a distance, in a kind light, alive rather than frozen. So I'm not up here talking down to you. I'm right here beside you. I've been through this myself. Now please hold on to one short thought. If you take just one thing away from everything we've talked about today, let it be this. A mirror shows you the details, but people see you whole, and the whole is always more beautiful than the sum of its parts. Always. You are not your pores, your fine lines, your little spots that you scrutinize up close. You are a complete, living, warm presence. And that's what everyone around you sees. And it's beautiful. Come back tomorrow. We'll have an equally interesting conversation. This time about which clothing colors actually make you look younger, and which ones, on the contrary, can add years. It's a topic close to today's, and trust me, it matters. So I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself, your real self.